SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I am here with my man, E. How are you doing today?
Hey, Bob, I'm doing well. Glad to be here with you recording, as always, on a weekend.
Absolutely. This is Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E, I am the Fat Man, and this is where we talk about anything that we really feel like talking about. And today, we are going to break down our top 5 teams heading into the season, which starts in about a month and a week or so. Our top 5 is going to be a little different. So our top 4 is going to be our for sure top 4 teams. Number 5 is going to be our top international team. So we want to show a little bit of international love today. So let's see, Eric, do you want to kick it off with your number 5 or your top international team?
I would say that my 5 and my international team are kind of one and the same. I would put them about here, and I think 5th is about where they would go. When I was putting my list together, there were some teams that are not going to make the cut. Big names, big coaches, big players. But hey, everybody can't be here. Some people need to. And Bob, we should also say that we reserve the right to adjust our rankings in the coming weeks because not over yet with recruiting by any stretch. There's still a lot of players out there looking for teams. Still some teams I expect to reshape their rosters a little bit, but obviously a lot has gone down in this past week. And with that, I will roll out my number 5 team, which is also my top international team, and that is SimWorld Europe. I like what Europe has done in 2 ways. And Europe is a vastly changed team. There's really been a lot of roster reconstruction done there, but if you look at what they have in the bigs, first of all, they have Henrik Vekic. And I think we all know Henrik. Henrik can score. He can play defense. He's also an underappreciated passer. He really is just kind of doing it all at 6'10" out there. But then I also appreciate that, Europe did recycle a lot of the roster, as I said, but they kept some bigger guys. Yeah, Christian Fazekas and Gabor George staying on the roster in particular. Fazekas played last year. He's grown up to 7 foot. George 6'9". They're both really solid defenders. So I like what they've got there in terms of that paint core. But then, if you look at all the new guys brought in as well, just 5 in the past few days, 4 guards, Ross Donta, Kenneth Klum, Franz Lustig, and Leonidas Papadopoulos.
Say that again. Say that last one again.
Oh, I can do that all day. I can do my Greek.
I love
Leonidas Papadopoulos.
Oh, I love it.
Sophocles Shortsianides. I can say all kinds of names. Anyway, and Miralem Tedic, who is a wing, a 6'6" wing, also brought into the side. And, I like what all those guys do. I think that there's a combination of scoring, really good handling. There's going to be a lot of feeding of Henrik Vekic. That's going to be a big part of the Europe diet this year. I think that they are going to be the cream of the international crop, and I like what they've done. I like what Coach Dmitry Kostov has put together, and I expect pretty big things from SimWorld Europe this year. And if you remember, Bob, last season, I think we all expected SimWorld Europe to star too. Marcello Nocioni was going to be the great international player, and he was solid, but Europe struggled. I think maybe this year we're going to see something a little bit different, but hey, that's why we play the games. But they are my number 5 and my top international. How about you?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to agree with you here for my number 5. And I would actually put them at number 5 right now, and that is Julian Henrik, the Joker Jr. Vekic. Just overall, like you said, you mentioned the new guys coming in, Klum, Donta, Papadopoulos, Lustig, Tedic. I think just overall, with the I almost said the U-Haul, with the overhaul of talent that they have after their supremely disappointing season last year, because when you think of international play, generally you think of, and because it's probably the second biggest professional basketball league in the world, you expect Europeans to be at the top of their game at the international level, and they just didn't do that. But with Henrik's huge meteoric rise this offseason during the preseason tournaments, I have to agree. I think SimWorld Europe's the number 5 team in the country right now, or in the world right now.
I like great minds thinking alike, and I also say, we both mentioned him, and we've talked about his name even, but Leonidas Papadopoulos, athletic kid,
Leonidas
good
Papadopoulos. Say it. Ooh,
it's just fun to say.
I love it.
He brings an athletic element to his game, which I'm not sure that people know about yet. And I think he'll play a lot of point guard when he's out there on the court. These kids are going to be fighting for minutes, lots of guards, lots of young guards on this Europe team. But keep your eye on him. I like him as an athlete. He could play a little bit, maybe of a combo kind of thing there. Also swing to your shooting guard position a little bit more. 6'1", solid 180 pounder. From Thessaloniki, in Greece.
There you go.
Yeah, keep an eye on him. I like him. But
all
right, well, that's our Europeans.
I will also say, protect your chest. Protect your chest. Leonidas is coming for it.
I like it. Well, like I said, I also like disagreeing. But now let's get to the segment where I suspect we're going to go our own ways, like Fleetwood Mac would sing, with the top 4 here. So give me your number 4 squad overall, Bob. I'll throw it back to you.
So my number 4 overall, and I have to go with, and I'll say as media members, we get a chance to see the scrimmages that most of the other people can't. And this is some of my picks are going to be based on, they're going to be a combination of the preseason and these scrimmages that we're seeing. My number 4 as of right now, and I expect it to actually go up, is the Originators. They have a plethora of talent compared to last season. Yes, they had Johnny Baldwin, they had Malcolm Oliver down low. They don't have the size that they had last season right now. But the amount of shooters that they have right now, that they have brought in because that was their weakness last season, I think that they're going to shock a lot of people. And I'm Golden State Junior right here. I think it's going to be Golden State Junior with the Originators. I mean, they have DJ Wagner, they have Maverick Jackson Jones, Jared Quinney. One thing that we've seen a lot in the preseason tournaments, Tyrone Snyder was a defensive monster. He was blocking everything. I almost forgot, they just brought in Kadarius Loftus after the little debacle with Gotham 5, which he is a great shooter. And Jace Daniel, he played a little bit with the Originators team this preseason because of some unforeseen circumstances with the other Jace that was on the Originators. But right. I think just overall from top to bottom, I think they are a more level team than they were last season. They're not going to be focusing on feed the big Johnny Baldwin. They have the shooters that I think people are going to sleep on them, and they're going to wake up real quick.
Well, I like that call. I like the recent addition of Jace Daniels a lot. I like Coach Dodge a lot. I think she's great. The Originators were one of a handful of teams that was like, when I was putting my list together, it was like, am I really going to leave them off my list? But I am. Because there are just 4 other squads that I like a little bit better. And number 4 on my list, H-Town Hoopers coming in at the number 4 spot. I'm not sure if there is a more athletic team in all of SimWorld that we're going to see this year. It's pretty ridiculous, actually, the athletes that H-Town has put together. Talk about the guys they're bringing back. And in the paint, they are looking strong with some veterans. Aaron Payne, 6'11", has grown up to 6'11" now. He was solid last season for the then Houston Stars. Yeah. He looks so much better this year.
Oh, yeah.
He got in the gym. He did something. His mama chewed him out. I don't know. But he's a lot better. Look out for him. I expect him to be, dominant actually in the paint this year. Tyson Simpson kind of performance is what I expect for him, honestly. But then don't forget about Aaron Matthews. 6'8", another good player, good defender, good post guy, rebounder. And that's just kind of the core guys that are coming back right there. This happened a long time ago, so I think people almost forgot about it. And of course, for those, who are newcomers to SimWorld, didn't sort of get to see him play last year, you don't really know the name Martin Genov, Russian. But he has moved from his native Russia, Eastern Russia, more like Siberian Kamchatkan Russia, to come to Texas. And he, is a really pure scorer. He is just, offense, instant offense, bring him out there, kind of get it together. I think he's going to have a big year. And then you look at this recruiting class. And, all these guys have shined, have stood out at some point or another in a pickup game, at a preseason tournament. And again, I talk about the athleticism, and they are Vincent Magic, might be one of the, maybe the most athletic new recruit coming into the game. Keithan Carter, all around just super solid player. Tyrell Thompson, he's going to be another big guy to mix in there. And again, he might be the best athlete out of the Thompson, Aaron Payne, Aaron Matthews trio down there. And they just added, I think in the last 24 or not more than 48 hours ago, Garrett Ari coming on to the squad. So, I really like, again, it's all about the athleticism. I like the way the H-Town roster is constructed. I think that they are going to be a real problem out there for teams. And they are my number 4 pick overall. And again, apologies to teams like the Originators. I won't give away who else didn't make my list, but there's other teams
We'll
too
see.
where I was fighting with it. But I just look up and down this Houston lineup, and boy, they kind of remind me of maybe Baylor on the college level recently. I think you're going to see that level of athleticism, crashing the boards, and, just playing tough, playing strong, and being a handful every night they're out there on the court.
Yeah, I think Payne himself is a game changer. I don't know what happened between last season and this season. I think he is going to single-handedly, just like, oh my God, I can't remember his name. From Houston last year. He was with Houston last year. What was their big's name? I can't remember. He was the heart and soul of that team, and I'm so disappointed that I forget his name. He single-handedly won them games, and I think that's going to be Payne this season. So
I think
agree.
so too.
Yeah, H-Town. I mean, it's a good pick. They're not in mine, but I'll be interested to see. We're going to stick with you on this one. Who's your number 3?
Well, if we're moving on to number 3, my number 3 team is Bad Boys. And again, I think Bad Boys have been a little bit overlooked because they weren't that active in the preseason. There wasn't a team Bad Boys out there all the time. In fact, Lorenzo Phenom only appeared in one preseason tournament.
Yeah.
but let's look at this squad for a second. And first of all, Lorenzo Phenom. I think he has a very good shot of being the top player in SimWorld this year. We'll find out. We'll see. But he's one of my favorites for just player of the year overall. And then, if you look at the rest of the team they have there, Owen Pride, there was that dust up between Pride and Phenom, but I think that's ancient history even at this point. He's a 6'7" multi-position defender. He's young, he's got to learn a little bit, but I think he's going to be a sort of, Swiss Army knife out there for Bad Boys. They also bring back Cash Ruffin, really solid shooting guard, and Bo Pagnotti. And let's not forget how good he is, too. Yeah. Great point guard. Actually, he can swing both positions a little bit. But then let's get into the players they're adding. And that, for me, kind of put them over the top and why they made my top list here. First of all, Samuel Baugus, 6'1", great defender, outstanding vision, great, sort of court quarterback, playmaker out there. I think he's going to be a huge addition. He may end up coming off the bench for these guys because that's how good Pagnotti and Ruffin are, but he's going to be a difference maker. And then you've also got 2 other guys who are guards. I actually expect Bad Boys to play a lot of 3-guard offense with 2 down low, Phenom and Pride maybe a lot of the time down there. Because if you look at the 2 other guards they brought in, you got Aiden Weaver, who is just, a little bit like I was saying about Martin Genoff. He's just offense in a can. You put him out there and he should be a point a minute kind of scorer. And then Nathaniel Garcia, he's a little bit raw, but he is a tremendous athlete. And I think he's just going to provide some energy, some spark off the bench. If Phenom lives up to his billing, if he lives up to the pedestal I put him on, at least in my own mind, Bad Boys being number 3 may be even a little bit low for them. I really like their prospects coming into the season, and I really like these new additions.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to agree with you for my number 3 as well. I got Bad Boys basketball, and it's another one of those situations where I just think there is a single player on that team that can single-handedly win them games, and like you said, that's Lorenzo Phenom. But those complementary pieces that they have brought in to go along with Phenom, Pagnotti, Ruffin, you got Pride, you got Baugus, you got Weaver, you got Garcia. Just the pieces that they have brought around them. It's kind of like what I have always hoped as a Sixers fan that we would do for Joel Embiid is you bring all you it was Embiid and Simmons I still can I just say let's break off. Let's break off. I'll be honest. I loved Simmons. I wanted that to work so bad. When he was going through his whole issue where he was holding out last season with the Sixers, I held out some hope. I was like, I really hope he comes back. Obviously he's been disappointing for the Nets right now, but man, he's so talented, but he's just one of those guys that's throwing it away. But I'm actually going completely off of what I even planned on saying because Ben Simmons hurts my heart. So I'm just going to jump back into Bad Boys. They just
less heart hurt.
Yeah, less heart hurt. I was actually really interested to see if Phenom was going to land somewhere else, but as of right now, I know we still got about a month left in this with the signing period. He can still make that jump somewhere, but I think he needs to stick it out. I think he needs to continue and build his name here in Detroit with Bad Boys basketball. And they're the number 3 team. They have so much talent and they're building something there. And I'm interested to see if they can stick at that 3. But like you said, I won't be surprised to see them move up at all. And Phenom has the opportunity. He has the talent. He has the shooting skills. He's athletic enough that he can be the top player in all of SimWorld.
Yeah. I absolutely think that's the case. I absolutely think that's true. And I'm absolutely stunned that we have another agreement. We've talked our number 5, 4, and 3 so far, and we've actually agreed on 2 teams in the exact same spots for that matter.
Yeah, well, that's going to change.
Why do I think that's going to change? Yeah, that's right.
So
keep it with you, Bob. Go ahead and give me your number 2 of your top 2 picks. Which California team is your number 2 team, Bob?
Which California team is my number 2 team? That is going to be Gotham 5. So
what?
I have to, for number 2, I have to go with Gotham 5. You have to look at coaching as well as the roster itself, and Coach Bilardi knows how to get a lot out of everybody. And no matter what, no matter how much they lost last season, they lost 37 number 1 overall picks last season. But I just think with Dior has shown a lot in the preseason. He had the one game. I don't remember this kid last season because he didn't have the opportunity to shine. They also have Raheem Dandridge.
That man has nothing to redeem himself for. He was fine last year.
Raheem Dandridge, he was fine last year. He was in and out of the starting lineup, I believe. That was the one. They had that one spot that they just kept trying different things out. But the amount of talent that they have brought in is absolutely astounding. From Aaron Lovejoy to Mackenzie Mgbako, and I always say his name different. I'll get it eventually. too many letters that don't make sense to me. And then you got the 2 cousins, the 2 sets of cousins. You got Majer and Sayer, I believe is how you say it, Matthews. And then you got, I'm sorry, I confused the cousins, and I'm looking right at their names. I confused. So you have
Hakeem.
I think it's because both of them have air in their name.
Maybe that's it.
You got Sayer and Hakeem and Majer and Muggin. So those 2, there's already that chemistry there that they're not going to have to. They're going to step on the court, and they're already going to know. Kind of like Bronny and Bryce over in that California team that shall not be named ever in either of our lineups. The chemistry is there. And then they went and added John Anthony. So the talent just from top to bottom, he retold. He retold. There was no, this is going to be a down year. Coach Bilardi's going to have to figure it out. And maybe next season they'll be back. They're not leaving. They're never going to leave. So I just think from top to bottom, Gotham 5 might have the most complete team in the entire SimWorld Hoops world.
I've got a lot of time for Coach Bilardi. Like what he accomplished last year. I like a lot of the pieces on this Gotham 5 team. Sayer Matthews in particular, I think is going to be a star. Left-hander out of the Bronx, just multi-skilled. I can't put them in my top 5, and I don't think I'm going to regret this call, Bob. I think that they are going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle a little bit this year. I really like Aaron Lovejoy, but outside of that, and Mackenzie Mgbako, I think that actually a little bit like the New York Stars were last year a little bit, though, you're going to be a little bit stretched down low. I think that Keon Anthony is not the real deal yet. Keep in mind, he's only a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have his learner permit yet. And it's not like he's a Resurred at 15 who's also, 7 foot tall and whatnot. I don't expect a lot from Keon. A lot of the returning pieces like Keontae Dior and Raheem Dandridge are guys I like, but I think that they are pieces. They're not stars. I just think that outside of Syer Matthews, and again, Mgbako, I do expect is going to be good along with Lovejoy. I just don't like this construction. I can't quite see G5 doing it this year.
You can't always be right, Eric.
Well, I am usually, and I bet I am on my number 2 pick as well. And much to your regret, my number 2 is Showtime Basketball.
Who?
Coach Chad Smith obviously landed the James brothers. They're the big sort of media darlings. And they're both really good players, actually. Bryce is solid. Bronny's a star. Bronny's a flat-out star. We're going to see that over the course of the season. And I'll get into the other kind of pieces they got here. But I think another guy who is flying slightly under the radar, who I don't think he'll be a Player of the Year candidate, but my God, is he good? Juka G. Out of Florida, currently, he's ranked in the top 100, but not terribly high ranked. But 6'3", a solid 180 pounder, can create offense, is a really good defender, and is an elite level athlete. I really like what he's doing as well. Corey Yams, he probably is best known. He's probably best known for his Yams memes and presence in social media. But I will tell you, Rick Blaze said this in the Discord not long ago. He is one of the better defenders, maybe one of the top 3, top 5 new recruit defenders to come into SimWorld. I think he's going to anchor him down low. Ethan Letterman is a really good shooter, actually. And I think we're going to like him too. Malcolm Chamberlain is a recent addition. Going to provide some defense down low at 6'8", 245 pounds. Solid.
You mean the former Shaq Chamberlain?
No. That's a different guy.
Sure.
Malcolm Chamberlain is going to be a bruiser and a banger, and people are going to like him. The James brothers are going to enjoy having him around. Showtime Basketball, if they have one weakness, and they might, it is that they don't have that
coaching position.
No, it's not coaching position.
Okay.
It's that outside of Corey Yams, they don't have anybody who really has a huge reputation down low. Jackson McLean, 6'10", and he is a good athlete. I think they have enough to kind of hold it down there. But if there's one Achilles heel to this team, it might be that lack of a, Mackenzie Mbako, Aaron Lovejoy, like Gotham 5 does have. If they could, in fact, if we could do trades in this league, I would be happy if I was Showtime Basketball, maybe to trade Bryce for Mackenzie Mbako, or something like that.
Come on.
But hey. I think that would make them perfect, and maybe that would make them a number 1 in my mind instead of number 2 team. But there's just too much talent on this side. We've already seen it during the preseason. They are going to be special, I think. Showtime Basketball will not make Bob's list, as we're about to find out, but they are definitely on.
You don't know that. We still have one more. We still have one more position left in our top.
Why don't we just drop the tension, drop the anxiety here, and go ahead and get to it, Bob. Who is your number 1? Is it Showtime Basketball? Are you about to shock the world?
It's the Showtime Killers. It's Bay Area Breakers.
Oh, okay.
What a surprise, right? The Showtime Killers, the better team over there in California. The Bay Area Breakers, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say that we haven't already said probably 13 episodes in a row. The talent, before they were all committed, they were all playing together in the preseason. They picked up 5 preseason tournament wins. Again, yes, it is preseason. Yeah. This is them freestyling, doing whatever they can do to win a game. How are they going to work with their coach and
Dre Pope?
How are they going to work with their coach and put this together on a court where plays are being called? Are they going to be able to be unselfish? I think the answer is yes. I think this is going to be one of those teams where they're the best player is going to be a different player every night, and that's not a bad thing with Curtis London returning, Lawrence Shields returning. Curtis London, I think me and you can both agree on this. Last season, I had such high hopes for this kid.
I did too.
Such high hopes.
And in fact, Bob, just let me jump in here now because my number one team is also Bay Breakers. So we might as well talk over each other about how good the Bay Breakers are because they are. But I know where you're going with this. And look, right in the preseason, the trio has really been the recruits, right? Yeah. Royce Anderson, Trey Hyman, Xavier Pope. And a nice 1-2-3 combo there, Hyman big, Anderson more of a wing, and Pope a guard. But look at also, or the other players they brought in most recently, because actually, they did play Pope a lot as sort of a hybrid guard, even though he's 6'6" in the preseason. But just recently, in the signing period, brought in a great point guard in Dime Hardaway.
Yeah,
brought in a super athletic combo guard in Ronnie Shannon. And I think you're right that, there are different guys on this team who can jump out at you and star every night. But what gets kind of lost in this translation is the guys who are coming back. Lawrence Shields is 6'9", and he is a very solid post player. Curtis London did disappoint us last year, but he is your classic kind of 3-and-D guard, right? He can splash from outside. He will D you up even when his shot's not falling, like happened last year. And the top player on this team could and should still be Caden Shipp.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is a star, had a great year last year. No reason to think he's not going to still be an outstanding player this season. They have all the pieces. The only thing is, can they live up to the expectations, Coach Pope and the squad? Because if they do a lot less than end up at the number one spot, probably win a national tournament, win a bunch of other banners, and, be generally, come out of this thing this year with like a 20-5 kind of record at the end of the season. Yeah. At worst, it will be a disappointment. So that's the only thing for me is like, can they live up to these expectations?
Yeah, and I think this might be the first opportunity for a coach and a team to rival what Coach Bilardi did with Gotham 5 last season. Because I believe they finished, what did they finish? 21-5, 21-6, something like that, something crazy.
Like that. Yeah. No. The New York Stars, now known as Gotham 5, were just consistent and good all year. Didn't win the national tournament, of course. That was Pacific Northwest, now known as Cascadia. But there you go. So, well, Bob, I'd like to see that we're in agreement. We were in agreement on 60% of our choices today, and that's pretty darn good.
We were.
The fifth, third, and first spots. So let me close on this because I want to get it out there, and maybe you'll have some thoughts too. I mentioned there were teams that had just left, that got left off that just killed me. And I've already talked about a few of them, Gotham, the Originators, to be sure. I'll throw out two that I haven't talked about that do deserve, if nothing else, an honorable mention. And one is Best Coast Ballers. I like the team that they put together. They've had some very recent new additions to the team that I think are great. One of them being Austin Ajavan, who came up from Southern California to play with them. He's grown. He's going to be better than he was last year, and he was fine last year. Lace Darius Outlaw and Mikey Williams, of course, two really good players. Evangelos Mullins, remember that name? One of the best dunkers and just like a good energy guy. I think that they've gotten a little bit. It's hard to get a lot of the spotlight when you're competing against Showtime and Bay Area for media love as a California team. But Best Coast Ballers, I think, is going to be good this year. And the other one that I didn't mention that I wanted to or thought about at least is one of the dominant teams from last year, Southeast Select. Trey Turner's coming back, folks. And he might be the best player. He might have been the best player in all of SimWorld last year as just a 16-year-old. He's a year older, a year better, and he is just a dynamite shooter and a good defender too. So, they've got him, and they've brought in some nice parts as well. Gabe Pope is coming in on that team. Another really good guard. And importantly, Keandre Baldridge, 6'10", 200-pounder. He is going to be manning the paint for them, playing really good defense. Defense was a trademark of Southeast last year. No reason to think it's not going to be that this year, too. Those were my two. Well, again, there were really four, but we already talked about the other two. Those are my painful to leave off teams. You want to close the show on your heartbreaks that didn't quite make your top five, Bob?
Well, first off, I want to make sure that we mentioned their names for Bay Area Breakers because we didn't. We just kept calling them the recruits. It's like we never gave them their true their respect. We got Roy Sanderson, Trey Hyman, Xavier Pope coming in there. Ronnie Shanahan was a late addition that I think is going to be a sneaky pickup, and they had Dre Ryder. I just in all, I want to make sure.
Dime Hardaway.
And Dime Hardaway. You did mention Dime Hardaway. It's that starting lineup. Is there room for Coach isn't going to have the attachment to Caden Shipp coming in as if it was the same coach as last season. Yes, he is arguably a top 5 player, but Coach is bringing his guys in. Look at Deion Sanders. He straight up told everybody, I'm bringing my guys. And
I hear you and I get it. And I think after a couple games, they're going to realize Caden Shipp is the truth and you got to feed that.
Yeah, that's true. But for me, the ones that were left off, I'm just going to just real quick. I know I almost put Lakeshore Drive into my top 5. Lovelace's team, they won a preseason tournament. They made it to the championship game a couple of times. 2 teams that I don't think are getting enough respect, Beyond the Arch. I think Kusa. I think Kusa is he has something there with the Duffy to Simpson connection. I think that's going to be a sneaky connection. And the Indy Stripes, Coach Javid Storm, Resurred, the Mouth of the South, Benari James. I don't know if he's from the South. I just felt like it made sense. Novajic, Noah Jovic, Jay Luss,
Johan Novajovic.
They just brought in Ordway. I'll be honest. I typed the name and I slapped the wrong keys, so there's some letters in there that should be. I have an M and I know there's no M. It should have been a comma. Like you said, Jay Luss, Ordway. I just think that they're Resurred. I mean, he can arguably finish number 1. There's so much talent. The one thing that I am disappointed in, let me say this about Resurred, and it's not him. I'm disappointed. It is, but it isn't. He's 15 years old. 15-year-olds can't start. What is that? What is that? 15-year-olds can't start.
See.
If I am Coach Storm, I am calling a timeout the second my team has possession. Every single time.
I get you because I'm not sure who is going to start that. I'll close my comments this way. I like what Indy Stripes have done too. Some interesting moves that Coach Storm has made. You know, he released MT Ben Hassan, good player. Ended up on Middle East, and also Malachi Booth,
Malichi Booth.
Who some our very own Marsh in the SimWorld media claim that Booth is the best shooter in this entire game. We'll see. We'll find out with that. So it's interesting what he's been doing with roster construction. There are some outstanding players on this team, like Resurred, but I do kind of wonder how they're going to fare in the paint. Because behind Resurred, who is really good, but keep in mind, he's not a big offensive threat yet. You know, that part of his game is still evolving. You know, you got they signed the Buckeye banger, Robert McGee, Bobby McGee, 6'9", 205. And I like him. I like his game, but he really can't do much other than defend and rebound at this point either. They're also going to, you know, they're going to struggle a little bit, I think, with their paint offense. But that was the only reason I didn't give Indy Stripes a harder look than what I did, and understand why they made your best of the rest list for sure. Yeah,
and I'll just say this: I'm just really excited for the season coming up. There's just so much talent across the board. I think we're going to see. But like last season, there was never really too many standout teams outside of Gotham. There was really no standout team but above the rest of everybody else. We had those teams where we always felt like they were the favorites heading into their games, like Run DMV and the originators, Southeast. Like we looked at
the season Pacific Northwest when they put the pieces together.
Like we look at the coaching and we're like, okay, this coach is going to figure it out. I kind of feel like it's going to be similar. There's so much talent across the board. I think though, I'm going to stick. I think Gotham is going to continue their ridiculous stretch of winning. And I think Bay Area Breakers is gonna probably give them a run for their money this season. But yeah, that's.
I like it.
Well, do you have any final words for the people, Eric?
No, other than it's been an exciting week of recruiting. And like I said, it's not over. There is still some more to go.
Yeah.
So, keep your eyes open. Please come back to our Discord, pay attention there, get involved in the conversations there. That's the best way to be a part of the SimWorld community. And it's kind of the most exciting time of the year. Rosters coming together and games getting ready to start. I'm excited to get this season up and going, and I'm thrilled to have put another episode to bed with you, Bob.
Another one, yeah. I love going to bed with you too. Anyways, thank you everybody
for another episode.
That's for a late night episode where no children can. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you everybody for listening. We appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you, Eric. Everybody, have a good rest of your Sunday.
Bye, folks.